The vast emptiness of space stretched endlessly in all directions. Commander Velthera, of the Crystalline Federation, pressed her four-fingered hand against the viewport of her exploration vessel. Her crystalline skin caught the light from distant stars and threw rainbow patterns across the bridge. She had been mapping this sector for 3 months now. Nothing but empty void and cosmic dust. "Commander, we have something unusual on the long-range sensors," called out Navigator Zeph from his station. His tentacled head swiveled toward her, his large black eyes blinking slowly. "It appears to be a manufactured object. Very large." Velthara moved to the sensor station with fluid grace. Her species had evolved in zero-gravity environments, making her movements seem like a dance, even in artificial gravity. The readings on the screen made her pause. The object was massive, far larger than any ship in the Galactic Council fleet. "Far away?" she asked. "Approximately 4 light hours from our current position," Zeph replied.
Oh.
"But Commander, there is something strange about the readings. The object appears to be very old. The metal composition suggests it has been drifting here for thousands of years." Velthara studied the data. In her 50 years of service to the Galactic Council, she had never seen anything like this. The Council had detailed records of every known civilization going back 15,000 years. No species had ever built anything this large or used these particular metal alloys. "Set course for the object," she ordered, and sent a message to Council Command. "Tell them we may have found something significant." The journey took 6 hours at maximum sublight speed. As they approached the mysterious object, the crew gathered on the bridge to see it with their own eyes. What they saw left them speechless. Ship was enormous, stretched nearly 2 kilometers from front to back. Its hull was dark gray metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Strange geometric patterns covered its surface, and dozens of smaller structures jutted out from the main body. It looked like a city that had been built to fly through space. "I have never seen anything like this," whispered Dr. Corrin, the ship's science officer. Her insect-like features twitched with excitement. "The design is completely unknown." "It does not match any architectural style in our databases." "How old do you think it is?" Velthara asked. Dr. Corrin ran several scans before answering. "Based on the cosmic radiation exposure and micrometeorite damage, I estimate this vessel is approximately 20,000 years old. But Commander, that is impossible. 20,000 years ago, no known species had achieved spaceflight." Velthara felt a chill run through her crystalline body. The implications were staggering. This ship predated the oldest known civilization by 5,000 years. It was a relic from a time when the galaxy was supposed to be empty of intelligent life. "Are there any signs of life aboard?" she asked. "That is the strangest part," Dr. Corrin replied. "The ship appears to be completely dead. There's no power signatures, no heat emissions, no electromagnetic activity, but there are some very faint energy readings deep inside the vessel, almost like something is sleeping." Velthara made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. "Prepare a boarding party. We are going to explore that ship." Meanwhile, deep inside the ancient vessel, something stirred. In a chamber buried at the heart of the ship, surrounded by walls of advanced technology, a man began to wake up. His name was Li Teho, and he had been sleeping for 20,000 years. The chamber was filled with a soft blue glow. Dozens of glass tubes lined the walls, each containing a human figure suspended in a clear liquid. But only one tube was active now. The others had gone dark long ago, their occupants having chosen to end their long sleep in other ways. Li Teho's eyes opened slowly. His vision was blurry at first, but gradually the world came into focus. He was lying on a medical table, wearing a simple white robe. Tubes and wires connected his body to various machines. His muscles felt weak from 20,000 years of disuse. "Welcome back, Guardian," said a gentle voice. The voice belonged to Arya, the ship's artificial intelligence. She appeared as a hologram beside his bed, taking the form of a middle-aged Korean woman with kind eyes. "How long?" Li Teo asked, his voice rough from disuse. 20,347 years, 6 months, and 12 days, Arya replied. "The cosmic storm has passed. The galaxy is safe for organic life again. Lee Tae-ho sat up slowly, his body protesting after so many years of inactivity. He looked around the medical bay, taking in the familiar surroundings. Everything was exactly as he remembered from the day he went to sleep. "Are there others?" he asked. "You are the last guardian to wake," Arya said softly. "The others chose to join their families in the great rest. You alone remain to see the awakening." Lee Tae-ho nodded. He had volunteered for this duty, knowing it might be a one-way journey. Someone had to remain to witness humanity's return to the galaxy. Someone had to be there when the ships opened their eyes again. "What is our status?" he asked. "All systems are functioning normally. The ship has maintained itself during the long sleep. We have been monitoring galactic communications for the past 500 years. The galaxy is now populated by 17 different species, organized under something called the Galactic Council." Lee Tae-ho stood up, testing his legs. The medical systems had kept his body in perfect condition during the long sleep. He was the same age now as when he went to sleep, thanks to the advanced technology. "Have they detected us?" he asked. "A council exploration vessel is approaching our position. They appear to be conducting a survey of this sector. Estimate they will reach us within the next 2 hours." Lee Tae-ho smiled for the first time in 20,000 years. "Then it is time for humanity to introduce itself to the galaxy." Walked to the viewing portal and looked out at the stars. They looked the same as they had 20,000 years ago. But everything else had changed. The galaxy was no longer empty. It was full of life, full of new civilizations that had grown and flourished while humanity slept. "Arya, begin the awakening protocol," he said. "Let them know we are here." Deep in the ship's core, ancient systems began to activate. Lights flickered on throughout the vessel. A ship that had been dark and silent for 20,000 years started to glow with new life. Commander Velthara and her crew watched in amazement as the ancient ship began to wake up. Lights appeared along its hull, and energy readings spiked across all spectrums. The dead ship was coming alive before their eyes. "Commander," Dr. Corrin called out, her voice filled with wonder. "I am detecting life signs. There is someone alive." On that ship, Velthara stared at the awakening vessel. After 20,000 years of silence, humanity was about to speak again. Commander Velthara stood in the docking bay of the ancient ship, her crystalline body reflecting the soft blue lights that lined the corridors. The air was breathable, though it carried a strange scent she could not identify. Behind her, Dr. Corrin and Navigator Zeph moved carefully through the alien architecture, their scanning devices recording everything. "The technology is incredible," Dr. Corrin whispered, running her insect-like fingers over the smooth walls. "These materials are unknown to us. They appear to be self-repairing." A soft chime echoed through the corridor, and suddenly a figure appeared before them. It was a hologram of a human woman, middle-aged with dark hair and gentle eyes. She bowed slightly in greeting. "Welcome aboard the Eternal Dawn," the hologram said. "I am Arya, the ship's intelligence system. The Guardian is waiting for you in the main hall." Velthara felt her breath catch. The Guardian. So there really was someone alive on this ancient ship. "We come in peace," she said carefully. "We represent the Galactic Council." "The Guardian is aware of your organization," Arya replied. "Please follow me." They walked through corridors that seemed to go on forever. The ship was even larger inside than it appeared from outside. Velthara noticed that the walls were covered with images and symbols she did not recognize. Some appeared to be star charts, others looked like mathematical equations, and many seemed to be artistic in nature. "Arya," she said as they walked, "how long has this ship been here?" 20,347 years, 6 months, and 15 days, Arya replied precisely. "We have been waiting for the galaxy to become ready for contact." The main hall was enormous. Ceilings stretched high above them, covered with what looked like a map of the entire galaxy. Thousands of tiny lights marked different star systems, and flowing lines connected them in complex patterns. At the center of the room stood a man. He was tall and lean, with black hair and dark eyes. His skin was pale, suggesting a life spent in artificial environments. He wore simple gray clothing that seemed to be made from advanced materials. Despite his ancient origins, he appeared to be in his 30s. "I am Li Teho," he said, bowing in the same manner as Arya. "I am the last guardian of humanity. Welcome to our ship." Elthara bowed in return, trying to hide her amazement. This man had been alive for 20,000 years. "I am Commander Velthera of the Crystalline Federation. We are honored to meet you." "The honor is mine," Li Teho replied. "We have been watching your civilizations grow and develop. You have done well to create the Council and bring peace to so many worlds. You have been watching us," Dr. Corrin asked, her compound eyes wide with curiosity. "Our ship has been monitoring galactic communications for many centuries," Li Teho explained. "We wanted to understand what kind of beings now inhabit the galaxy before we revealed ourselves." He gestured to the walls around them. "This ship is more than a vessel. It is an archive of human civilization. Everything we were, everything we learned, everything we created is preserved here." "What happened to your people?" Elthera asked gently. Li Teho's expression grew sad. 20,000 years ago, we detected a cosmic storm approaching our region of the galaxy. It would have destroyed all organic life for thousands of light years. We had a choice: flee to another galaxy or wait for the storm to pass. You chose to wait," Zeph said, his tentacles curling with understanding. "We chose to sleep," Li Teho corrected. "But first, we prepared. We built ships like this one throughout the galaxy. Each one carries the complete history of humanity and the means to rebuild our civilization." Arya stepped forward. "Would you like to see the archives? I believe you will find them interesting." The walls around them suddenly came alive with images. Velthera gasped as she saw scenes of a blue and green world covered with water and clouds. Strange creatures moved across the surface, and cities of incredible beauty rose from the landscape. "This is Earth," Li Teho said. "Our homeworld." These images were taken just before the Great Sleep began. The images changed, showing humans in various stages of development. They saw primitive humans learning to use tools, then building the first cities, then reaching for the stars. The progression was remarkable, showing a species that refused to accept limitations. "Your people developed very quickly," Dr. Corrin observed. "Most species take twice as long to achieve spaceflight." "Humans are naturally curious," Li Teho explained. "We always wanted to know what was beyond the next hill, across the next ocean, or around the next star." Another hologram appeared beside Arya. This one showed a woman with short black hair and wearing a white coat. She looked like a scientist or researcher. "I am Dr. Park Sojin," the new hologram said. "I was a xenobiologist before the Great Sleep. I studied other forms of life and theorized about what we might find among the stars." "You studied life forms you had never met?" Velthera asked. "We studied life on Earth and tried to imagine what forms it might take on other worlds," Dr. Park Sojin replied. "We were very excited about the possibility of meeting other intelligent species. What did you imagine we would be like?" Zeph asked. Dr. Park Sojin smiled. "We imagined you would be wonderful. Different from us, but sharing the same desire to explore and learn and grow. We hoped you would be friends." The images on the walls shifted again, showing human technology and achievements. Velthara saw ships that could travel faster than light, cities that floated in space, and machines that could reshape entire planets. "Your technology is very advanced," she said. "Why did you not try to fight the cosmic storm?" "Because we learned something important," Li Teho replied. "Not every problem can be solved with technology. Sometimes the wisest choice is to step back and wait for the right moment." "But you did not just wait," Dr. Corrin said. "You prepared the galaxy for life to return." "That is correct," Arya said. "During the Great Sleep, our ships deployed terraforming probes throughout the galaxy. They helped create the conditions that allowed your civilizations to develop." Velthara felt a chill run through her crystalline body. "You mean you helped create the worlds we live on?" "We planted seeds," Li Teho said simply. "You grew into the magnificent civilizations you have become. That was always your achievement, not ours." The hologram of Dr. Park Sojin gestured to the star map above them. "We have been recording everything. every species that developed, every war that ended. In peace, every discovery that brought joy, your histories are precious to us. Why? Velthara asked. Why do you care about our histories? Because in them we see hope, Liteho replied. When we went to sleep, we did not know if intelligent life would develop in the galaxy. We did not know if it would be peaceful or violent. We did not know if we would wake up to friends or enemies. He smiled, and Velthara saw genuine warmth in his expression. We woke up to friends. The Council has brought peace to more worlds than we ever dreamed possible. You have shown that different species can work together. What happens now? Zeph asked. Will your people return to the galaxy? Liteho and Arya exchanged glances. There are other ships like this one, Liteho said. Other guardians who have been sleeping. If the Council is willing, we would like to wake them up. But we do not want to disrupt the peace you have built, Dr. Park Sojin added. We want to be part of it, want to learn from you as much as... We hope you might learn from us. Velthara looked at her companions. She could see the excitement in their eyes. This was the discovery of a lifetime, an entire civilization returning from the ancient past, offering knowledge and friendship. I think the Council would be very interested in meeting your people, she said. But the decision is not mine to make. We understand, Liteho said. Take your time. We have waited 20,000 years. We can wait a little longer. Stay. Prepared to leave, Velthara turned back to the Guardian. Liteho, may I ask you something? Of course. Were you afraid when you went to sleep? Afraid that you might wake up alone? Liteho was quiet for a moment. Yes, he said finally. But we had hope. Hope that life would find a way. Hope that intelligence would grow. Hope that somewhere in the galaxy, beings like you would choose cooperation over conflict. You were right to hope, Velthara said. Yes, Liteho replied, smiling. We were. The Council chamber on the capital world of Nexus Prime buzzed with activity. Representatives from all 17 member species had gathered for an emergency session. The news of humanity's return had spread quickly through diplomatic channels. Causing excitement and concern in equal measure, President Vexandra, tall being with silver skin and flowing robes, called the assembly to order. Her species, the Eternal Ones, had been the first to achieve faster-than-light travel and had founded the Council 15,000 years ago. Fellow delegates, she began, her voice carrying easily through the vast chamber. We face a situation unlike any in our recorded history. A species has returned from the distant past, claiming to predate all known civilizations. Commander Velthara stood at the center of the chamber, her crystalline form catching the light from the great dome above. Beside her, a large holographic display showed images from the human ship. The delegates watched in fascination as scenes from Earth's history played before them. The human called Liteho has agreed to share more of their history with us, Velthara reported. What we have learned challenges everything we thought we knew about the galaxy's past. The holographic display shifted, showing a new figure. It was a human man in a military uniform, his face stern but kind. His name appeared in Galactic standard text. Admiral Kim Dongwu. I am Admiral Kim Dongwu, the hologram said. I commanded the final human fleet during the last days before the Great Silence. What you are about to see is the true record of why humanity disappeared from the galaxy. The chamber fell completely silent. Even the normally chattering representatives of the hive minds stopped their constant buzzing. The display changed to show images of space, but something was wrong. The stars were dim, and strange dark clouds moved between them. 20,000 years ago, our scientists detected something approaching from the space between galaxies. Admiral Kim Dong-woo continued. We called it the Dark Storm. It was a massive wave of dark matter and exotic energy that would destroy all organic life in its path. The images showed the storm's approach. It was enormous, stretching across light years of space. Where it passed, stars went dark and planets became lifeless rocks. The delegates watched in horror as entire solar systems were consumed. The storm would take 3,000 years to pass through our region of the galaxy, the Admiral explained. Any species caught in its path would be completely destroyed. We had two choices: flee to another galaxy or find a way to survive until it passed. Representative Korvac of the Hegemony Prime, a warrior species with thick armor-like skin, leaned forward. Why did you not fight it? Your technology appears advanced enough to attempt resistance. The hologram of Admiral Kim Dong-woo smiled sadly. Some things cannot be fought, only endured. The Dark Storm was not an enemy that could be defeated. It was a natural phenomenon, like a tsunami or earthquake, but on a galactic scale. Dr. Corinne, who had been studying the human archives, activated her own display. The human records show they spent 200 years preparing for the storm. They built hundreds of ships like the Eternal Dawn. Not just ships, corrected a new voice. Another hologram appeared, this one showing a woman with short hair and intelligent eyes. I am Engineer Choi Mi-kyung. I designed the sleep ships and the terraforming systems. The display changed again, showing technical diagrams that made even the Council's best scientists gasp. The human technology was far more advanced than they had realized. Each ship was designed to do three things, Engineer Choi Mi-kyung explained. First, preserve human life during the long sleep. Second, monitor the galaxy and wait for the storm to pass. Third, prepare suitable worlds for life to return. Prepare worlds, Dr. Zelkin, of the Science Guild, her tentacles twitching. With excitement, what do you mean? We seeded the galaxy with terraforming probes, the engineer replied. Millions of small devices that would spread throughout space during the storm. When it passed, they would begin the work of making dead worlds suitable for life again. The implications hit the delegates like a physical blow. Representative Yathin of the forest world stood up, her bark-like skin creaking. Are you saying that our worlds, our very existence, is because of your terraforming? It's not because of us, Lee Tae-ho said, appearing in the chamber through a live communication link. From the Eternal Dawn, the probes only prepared the soil. You planted the seeds and grew the gardens. Your civilizations are your own achievements. President Voxandra studied the human guardian carefully. But you watched us develop. You guided us. You watched, yes. Lee Tae-ho admitted, but we did not guide. We wanted to see what forms life would take, what kinds of beings would emerge. We hoped you would be peaceful, but we did not interfere. Another hologram appeared, showing a woman in a scientist's coat. I am Dr. Lim Soo-jin, chief xenobiologist of the human fleet. We theorized that intelligent life would eventually develop, but we did not know what form it would take. The display showed human predictions from 20,000 years ago. The delegates were amazed to see that humans had accurately predicted many aspects of their development, including the formation of the Council. You predicted we would form an alliance? Asked Representative Vex of the Merchant Guilds. We hoped you would, Dr. Lim Soo-jin replied. Our studies of life on Earth showed that cooperation was often more successful than competition. We believed that intelligent species would eventually realize this truth. What about the other ships? Commander Velthera asked. You mentioned that the Eternal Dawn was not alone. Lee Tae-ho's expression grew serious. There are 347 sleep ships scattered throughout the galaxy. Each one contains between 500 and 2,000 humans in suspended animation. They are all waiting for the awakening signal. The chamber erupted in discussion. 347 ships, to 500,000 humans sleeping throughout the galaxy. The implications were staggering. Where are they? President Vexandra asked Daria. Show them the locations, Lee Tae-ho said. The holographic display changed to show a map of the galaxy. Tiny dots of light appeared throughout Council space and beyond. The ships were everywhere, hidden in asteroid fields, orbiting dead stars, drifting in the void between systems. They have been there all along, whispered Dr. Corin. Hidden in plain sight, not hidden, Lee Tae-ho corrected. Waiting. Each ship was programmed to remain dormant until the galaxy was ready for humanity's return. The Eternal Dawn was the first to wake because it was the designated messenger. What made you decide the galaxy was ready? Representative Korvac asked. Council Lee Tae-ho replied simply. When we saw 17 different species working together in peace, we knew the time had come. This is what we hoped for 20,000 years ago. Engineer Choi Mikion's hologram stepped forward. But we will not wake the other ships without your permission. We do not want to disrupt the peace you have built. What would happen if all the ships woke up? President Vexandra asked. Each ship is designed to establish a colony, Lee Tae-ho explained. They would find suitable worlds and begin rebuilding human civilization. But we would want to do this as part of the council, not separate from it. The delegates looked at each other uncertainly. The return of humanity would change everything. 500,000 humans with advanced technology could upset the careful balance the council had maintained for centuries. We need time to consider this, President Vexandra said finally. This decision will affect every world in the galaxy. We understand, Lee Tae-ho replied. We have waited 20,000 years. We can wait longer if necessary. As the communication ended, the delegates began to debate in earnest. Some saw humanity's return as a great opportunity for advancement. Others worried about the disruption it might cause. A few wondered if the humans were telling the complete truth about their intentions. On the eternal dawn, Lee Tae-ho stood in the observation deck, looking out at the stars. Arya appeared beside him, her holographic form flickering slightly. You think they will accept us? She asked. Hope so, Lee Tae-ho replied. But if they do not, we will respect their decision. We did not survive the Great Silence to become conquerors. The other Guardians are sending messages, Arya reported. They are eager to wake up and see the galaxy. Lee Tae-ho said, we must prove ourselves worthy of the trust these beings have built. They have created something beautiful here. We must not destroy it. Far across the galaxy, in the hidden ships, other Guardians waited in their sleep chambers. Each one carried the dreams and hopes of humanity. Soon they might wake to find a galaxy full of friends. But first, they had to prove that humanity deserved a place in the peaceful civilization that had grown while they slept. The Great Silence was ending. But the real test was just beginning. The news of humanity's return spread like wildfire through the galaxy. On every council world, beings gathered around, communication screens to watch the incredible footage from the eternal dawn. The discovery dominated every news channel and sparked heated debates in government halls across 17 different civilizations on the military world of Hegemony Prime. General Krax slammed his armored fist on the war table. His red eyes glowed with suspicion as he addressed his staff. Officers. 300 ships full of primitives with advanced technology. This could be the greatest threat the galaxy has ever faced. But sir, ventured Captain Zolt, their leader seems peaceful. He asked for permission before waking the other ships. Tricks and lies, General Krax growled. No species survives 20,000 years without being cunning. They claim to want peace, but they have weapons we cannot understand. Meanwhile, on the philosophical world of Sage Collective, the Council of Minds reached a very different conclusion. Elder Wisdom Yanni, her ancient form barely visible in the meditation chamber, spoke in whispers that carried profound weight. These humans are the lost children of the galaxy, she said. They sacrificed everything to preserve life for others. Such beings deserve our welcome, not our fear. 3 days after the discovery, Lee Tae-ho received an invitation to visit the Council's capital ship. The massive vessel, called the Unity, served as a mobile parliament where representatives could meet in neutral space. Lee Tae-ho accepted immediately. The docking bay of the Unity was enormous, designed to accommodate ships from all 17 member species. As the human shuttle approached, thousands of beings lined the observation decks to catch a glimpse of the ancient visitor. Lee Tae-ho could see their faces pressed against the transparent walls. Eyes wide with curiosity and wonder, President Vexandra met him personally at the airlock. She was even more impressive in person, her silver skin gleaming and her robes flowing like liquid starlight. Behind her stood representatives from each major faction of the council. Welcome aboard the Unity, Guardian Lee Tae-ho, she said, bowing. In the human fashion, we are honored by your presence. Honor's mine, President Vexandra Lee Tae-ho replied. Thank you for agreeing to meet with me. As they walked through the ship's corridors, Lee Tae-ho marveled at the diversity around. Beings of every shape and size moved through the halls, working together despite their vast differences. It was everything humanity had hoped the galaxy would become. The meeting took place in the Grand Assembly, a circular chamber with seats arranged in concentric rings. Each species had their own section, designed to accommodate their specific needs. The crystallines sat in areas with enhanced lighting, while the shade dwellers preferred the darker corners. Guardian Li Teho, President Vexandra began, "We've studied your records and discussed your request extensively. Before we make any decisions, we have questions." "I understand," Li Teho replied. "Ask whatever you need to know." Representative Korvac of the Hegemony Prime stood first. His massive frame cast a shadow across the chamber. "Your technology is clearly superior to ours. If we allow your people to wake up, what guarantee do we have that you will not try to conquer us?" Li Teho considered the question carefully. "I cannot give you a guarantee, Representative Korvac. Words are just words. But I can tell you this. If humanity wanted to conquer the galaxy, we would have done it 20,000 years ago, before you had time to develop your defenses." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. The logic was undeniable. "Then what do you want?" asked Dr. Zelkin of the Science Guild. "To be part of what you have built," Li Teho replied. "To learn from you and to share what we have learned. To explore the galaxy together and face whatever challenges come." Elder Wisdom Yani spoke. From her meditation platform, "You have been watching us for centuries. What is your honest assessment of our civilization?" Li Teho smiled. "You have exceeded our greatest hopes. We expected intelligence to develop, but we never imagined such cooperation between different species. You have achieved something we never managed. True galactic peace." "What do you mean, President?" Vexandra asked. "Did humans not have peace?" "We had peace on Earth," eventually Li Teho admitted. "But we never encountered other intelligent species. We do not know if we would have been as wise as you have been." The honesty of his answer impressed many delegates. Representative Vex of the merchant guilds leaned forward. "What can your people offer the galaxy? What benefits would come from awakening your ships?" Li Teho gestured, and Arya appeared as a hologram beside him. The ship's AI had been granted permission to attend the meeting. "Arya, please show them the medical archives." The hologram began displaying human medical technology. The delegates watched in amazement as Arya explained treatments for genetic diseases that had plagued several council species for millennia. "We have cures for the crystalline corruption that affects your people," Commander Velthera Arya said. "And treatments for the hive mind fragmentation that has reduced the population of the collective consciousness." Dr. Korin nearly fell from her perch. "You can cure the fragmentation? That disease has killed millions of our people." Dr. Beiheinwu developed the treatment 3 years before the Great Silence, Li Teho explained. "His research is preserved." In the medical ship Healing Dawn, another human hologram appeared. Dr. Beiheinwu looked young and enthusiastic, his eyes bright with scientific curiosity. "The treatment uses quantum-level genetic repair," he explained. "We tested it on similar conditions and achieved a 97% success rate." The chamber erupted in excited discussion. Beings who had lived with incurable diseases for generations suddenly had hope for their people. "What about technology?" asked Engineer Prime Volt of the Machine Collective. "What advances could you share?" Li Teho nodded to Arya again. This time, she displayed star charts showing incredibly efficient space routes and new methods of faster-than-light travel. Captain Yoon Jihai discovered a way to reduce travel time between distant systems by 60%, Arya explained. "The technology is completely safe and requires no new infrastructure." Another hologram appeared, showing a confident woman in a ship captain's uniform. "The key is understanding subspace currents," Captain Yoon Jihai explained. "Space is not empty, flows like an ocean, and we can ride those currents." The practical benefits were undeniable. Trade routes that took months could be reduced. 2 weeks, emergency aid could reach distant worlds in half the time. The implications for commerce and cooperation were enormous, but not everyone was convinced. General Crack stood up, his armor clanking. "This proves my point. They have technology. That makes them superior to us in every way. How long before they decide we are primitive children who need to be ruled?" That will never happen, Li Teho said firmly. Do you know why? Enlighten me, General Krax growled. Because you taught us something we never learned on our own, Li Teho replied. You showed us that different species can work together as equals. That is worth more than any technology. Li Teho stood and addressed the entire assembly. 20,000 years ago, humanity was alone in the galaxy. We had incredible technology, but we lacked something crucial: perspective. We had no one to learn from except ourselves. He gestured around the chamber. Look at what you have built. 17 species, each contributing their strengths to benefit all. The crystallines provide energy technology. The hive minds offer collective problem solving. The machine collective maintains the infrastructure. Every species has value. What would humanity contribute? President Vexandra asked. Experience, Li Teho replied. We have lived through the destruction of our world and found a way to preserve hope. We have learned that some problems cannot be solved by fighting, only by waiting and planning and trusting in the future. He paused, looking at each representative in turn. But more than that, we would contribute the perspective of a species that chose to sacrifice everything for strangers we had never met. We prepared the galaxy for life to return because we believed that somewhere, somehow, beings like you would emerge. Elder Wisdom Yanni nodded slowly. Humans display the wisdom of sacrifice. This is a rare quality in the galaxy. But wisdom alone is not enough, Representative Korvac argued. Power without restraint is dangerous. Then test us, Li Teho said simply. Wake one ship. Let one group of humans join your civilization. See how we behave when we are outnumbered and dependent on your goodwill. The suggestion caused another wave of discussion. It was a reasonable compromise. One ship contained only a few hundred humans. If they proved trustworthy, more ships could be awakened. If not, the damage would be limited. President Vexandra called for order. We will consider your proposal, Guardian Li Teho. The Council will vote on whether to allow the awakening of one human ship as a test. Which ship would you choose? Asked Dr. Korn. Li Teho smiled. The New Hope. It contains scientists, doctors, engineers, and teachers. People whose skills would benefit the galaxy immediately, and the guardian of that ship. What? President Vexandra asked. Dr. Ko Minho, Li Teho replied. One of our finest xenobiologists. She has spent her career studying how different forms of life might interact peacefully. As the meeting ended, delegates from across the galaxy prepared to return to their homeworlds to consult with their governments. The decision would affect every being in the galaxy. Some saw opportunity, others saw danger. Li Teho returned to the Eternal Dawn to wait. He had done everything he could to convince the Council of Humanity's peaceful intentions. Now the choice was theirs. On distant worlds, the debate continued. The galaxy stood at a crossroads, deciding whether to welcome back its oldest children or keep them sleeping in the void. The council vote had been close. 9 species voted to allow the awakening of one human ship, 7 voted against, and 1 abstained. It was enough to proceed, but barely. Li Teho stood on the bridge of the Eternal Dawn, watching as the new Hope slowly powered up after 20,000 years of sleep. The ship was smaller than the Eternal Dawn, but still impressive. Its hull gleamed silver in the starlight, and soft blue lights began to flicker along its length as systems came online. Inside, 500 humans were beginning to wake from their long sleep. The revival process is proceeding normally, Arya. Reported Dr. Ko Minho should be fully conscious within the hour. Li Teho nodded, but his attention was drawn to something else. Long-range sensors were detecting unusual energy signatures from the edge of the galaxy. Something was moving in the dark space between stars, something that should not exist. Arya, what are those readings? He asked. Unknown, Arya replied, her voice carrying a note of concern. The energy patterns are unlike anything in our databases. They appear to be artificial constructs, but they predate even our oldest records. On the Council capital ship Unity, alarms were beginning to sound. President Vexandra rushed to the command center where her best analysts were studying the same sensor readings that had caught Li Teho's attention. What are we looking at? She demanded. Commander Velthera, now serving as the Council's liaison. to humanity, studied the displays with growing dread. Something is coming from dark space, multiple objects, each one the size of a small moon. How many? President Vexandra asked. 17 confirmed, possibly more, Velthera replied. They are moving directly toward Council space. Dr. Corrin looked up from her analysis station, her compound eyes wide with fear. President, these energy signatures match theoretical models for the Void Reapers. A chill fell over the command center. The Void Reapers were legend, ancient machines spoken of in the oldest texts. They were said to be destroyers of organic life, created by a long-dead civilization to cleanse the galaxy of what they considered contamination. I thought the Void Reapers were mythology, President Vexandra said. So did we all, Dr. Corrin replied, but the energy patterns are unmistakable. They are real, and they are coming. On the New Hope, Dr. Ko Minho opened her eyes for the first time in 20,000 years. She was a small woman with intelligent eyes and silver-streaked hair. Medical Bay looked identical to the one on the Eternal Dawn, filled with the soft blue glow of human technology. Welcome back, Guardian, said the ship's AI, which called itself Hope. The galaxy has changed significantly during our sleep. Dr. Ko Minho asked, her voice rough from disuse. 20,000 years, 4 months, and 6 days, Hope replied. The Eternal Dawn has made contact with the current galactic civilization. You have been awakened to serve as humanity's ambassador to the Galactic Council. Dr. Ko Minho sat up slowly, testing her muscles. The medical systems had kept her body in perfect condition. What kind of beings rule the galaxy now? They do not rule, Hope corrected. They cooperate. 17 species working together in peace. They call themselves the Galactic Council. Before Dr. Ko Minho could respond, emergency alarms began sounding throughout the ship. HOP's holographic form flickered with urgency. Guardian, we are receiving emergency transmissions from the Council fleet. Ancient machines called Void Reapers have emerged from dark space. They're approaching Council territory. Dr. Ko Minho felt her blood run cold. She had studied the theoretical existence of such machines during her training 20,000 years ago. If the Void Reapers were real, the galaxy was in terrible danger. Hope, connect me to the Eternal Dawn immediately. Lee Taeho's face appeared on the communication screen, his expression grim. Dr. Ko Minho, I am afraid your awakening comes at a difficult time. The Void Reapers, she said. Are they what I think they are? Worse, Lee Taeho replied. Our records suggest they were created to destroy organic life. They have been dormant in dark space for millions of years, but something has awakened them. On the Unity, President Vexandra called an emergency session of the Council. Representatives appeared via hologram from across the galaxy, their faces showing fear and confusion. The objects will reach our outer colonies in 72 hours, Commander Velthara reported. Our fleets are moving to intercept, but we do not know what we are facing. General Krax of the Hegemony Prime stood at attention. Our military analysis suggests these machines are beyond our ability to defeat through conventional warfare. Need every advantage we can get. All eyes turned to the human representatives. Lee Taeho and Dr. Ko Minho appeared side by side on the main display. Do your people have any knowledge of these Void Reapers? President Vexandra asked. We have theoretical knowledge, Dr. Ko Minho replied. Our scientists believed they were created by an ancient civilization that viewed organic life as a contamination of the galaxy. They were programmed to eliminate all biological matter. Can they be defeated? Asked Representative Korvac. Not by force, Lee Taeho said, but perhaps by understanding. The Void Reapers operate on logic, not emotion. If we can convince them that organic life has value, they might choose to stop their attack. How do we convince machines that have existed for millions of years? Elder Wisdom Yanni asked. Dr. Ko Minho stepped forward. By showing them something they have never seen before, true cooperation between different species. The Galactic Council represents something unique in galactic history. You want us to use our unity as a weapon? President Vexandra asked. Not as a weapon, Lee Taeho corrected. As proof that organic life can create beauty, harmony, and purpose. The Council voted quickly. They had little choice. The human ships would be allowed to help defend against the Void Reapers. In return, Lee Taeho made a promise that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. If the Council fights alongside us, he said, humanity pledges to serve as guardians of galactic peace for as long as we exist. Commander Oh Young was the first human military officer to wake up in 20,000 years. She emerged from her sleep chamber aboard the warship Defiant Shield, looking exactly as she had when she went to sleep, tall, strong, and completely focused on protecting others. Guardian, what is our tactical situation? She asked her ships. AI critical, Guardian replied. Void Reapers are approaching Council space. The Eternal Dawn has volunteered our assistance. How many ships do we have available? Commander Oh Young asked. Currently to human vessels and approximately 4,000 Council ships from 17 different species, Commander Oh Young studied the tactical displays. The Void Reapers were massive, each one bristling with weapons that could destroy entire fleets. But she noticed something in their movement patterns. They are not randomly attacking, she observed. They are targeting specific types of worlds. Agricultural planets, research stations, cultural centers. Confirmed, Guardian agreed. They appeared to be focusing on centers of organic civilization.
Yeah.
Then we know their weakness, Commander Oh Young said with grim satisfaction. They cannot understand why organic life chooses to create rather than destroy. Dr. Lim Jae-soon was among the last humans to wake up, emerging from his chamber aboard the research vessel Bright Future. As the fleet's chief scientist, his job was to analyze the Void Reapers and find a way to stop them without massive bloodshed. The Void Reapers are using quantum-level disruption fields, he reported to the Combined Human Council Command Center. Their weapons literally unmake the atomic bonds that hold matter together. Is there a defense? General Krax asked.
Why not?
A technological one, Dr. Lim Jae-soon replied. But I have an idea. What if we could show them the mathematical beauty of organic cooperation? Explain, President Vexandra commanded. The Void Reapers operate on pure logic. To them, organic life appears chaotic and wasteful. But the Galactic Council represents something different, organized cooperation that creates efficiency and beauty. Taeho understood immediately. We do not fight them, we teach them. How do you teach something that does not want to learn? Commander Valthera asked. Dr. Ko Minho smiled, same way humans learn to work together. By showing them that cooperation creates something greater than the sum of its parts. The combined fleet moved to intercept the Void Reapers at the edge of Council space. But instead of preparing for battle, they prepared for the greatest teaching. Demonstration in galactic history, ships from 17 different species formed complex geometric patterns around the human vessels. Each species contributed their unique abilities. Crystalline energy manipulation, hive mind coordination, machine collective precision, and human stubborn hope. As the Void Reapers approached, they slowed. Their sensors detected something they had never encountered before, perfect harmony between completely different forms of life. This is Commander Oh Young to all ships, came the voice over the communication channels. Remember, we are not here to prove our strength, we are here to prove our worth. The test was about to begin. The galaxy's survival depended not on weapons or shields, but on the simple idea that different beings could choose to work together for the greater good. In the dark of space, ancient machines that had destroyed countless civilizations prepared to encounter something they had never seen: hope. The combined fleet hung in space like a living constellation. 4,000 ships from 17 different species surrounded the two human vessels in perfect geometric harmony. Each ship held position with mathematical precision, creating patterns that pulsed with synchronized energy. Commander Oh Young stood on the bridge of the Defiant Shield, watching the Void Reapers approach. The ancient machines moved slowly, their massive forms blotting out the stars. Each Reaper was the size of a small moon, covered in weapons that could destroy entire worlds. All ships report ready, she announced to the fleet. Remember, we are not here to fight. We are here to show them what we have built together. On the Unity, President Vexandra watched the tactical display with nervous excitement. Never before had the Council fleet worked in such perfect coordination. Ships that normally operated independently now moved as one organism. The crystallines are providing power coupling, reported Commander Valthera. The machine collective is handling navigation coordination. The hive minds are maintaining communication links across all 4,000 ships, and the humans. President Vexandra asked, "They are doing what they do best," Valthera replied with something like admiration. "They are giving everyone hope." Dr. Lim Jasoon worked frantically in his laboratory aboard the Bright Future. Around him, scientists from a dozen different species shared data and theories at incredible speed. The diversity of perspectives was producing insights none of them could have achieved alone. "The Void Reapers are scanning our formation," announced Dr. Corrin, her compound eyes tracking multiple data streams simultaneously. "Their behavior patterns are changing." "They are confused," added Engineer Prime Volt, his mechanical form interfacing directly with the ship's computers. Their programming does not account for this level of cooperation between organic species. Dr. Lim Jae-sung smiled as he made a breakthrough. "That is exactly what we hoped for." "Dr. Ko Minho, are you ready to begin the demonstration?" On the New Hope, Dr. Ko Minho prepared for the most important xenobiological contact in galactic history. She stood in the ship's communication center, surrounded by displays showing the approaching Void Reapers. "Hope, open a channel to the lead Reaper," she ordered. "Channel open, Guardian. But I should warn you, these machines have not communicated with organic life for millions of years." Dr. Ko Minho took a deep breath. "Ancient Ones," she began. "We are the children of this galaxy. We wish to speak with you." For several minutes, there was no response. Then, a voice echoed through space. It was cold and mechanical, utterly without emotion. "Donisate organic contamination detected. Multiple species. Present. Elimination protocols activated." "Wait," Dr. Ko Minho said quickly. "Before you eliminate us, observe what we have created. Study our formation. Analyze our cooperation." The Void Reapers slowed their approach. Their sensors swept over the combined fleet, taking detailed measurements. "Of everything they saw possible," the lead Reaper finally said, "organic species do not achieve stable cooperation. Chaos and conflict are the nature of biological life." Li Teho's voice joined the communication from the eternal dawn. "You are wrong, Ancient One. Evolution does not stop with individual survival. It continues to cooperation, to harmony, to the creation of something greater than any single species." "Prove this claim?" the Reaper demanded. What happened next had been planned and rehearsed by every ship in the fleet. On Commander Osei-young's signal, the formation began to move. 4,000 ships danced through space in patterns of incredible beauty and complexity. The crystalline ships provided streams of pure energy that flowed between vessels like rivers of light. The machine collective ships formed the framework, their precise movements creating geometric shapes that shifted and evolved. The organic species added curves and flowing motions that brought life to the mathematical perfection. At the center of it all, the human ships served as conductors, their movements guiding the entire symphony of cooperation at the eternal dawn. And New Hope wove between the other vessels, their paths creating connections that bound the whole formation together. "Analysis complete," the lead Reaper announced after observing for an hour. "Cooperation level exceeds theoretical maximums. Efficiency ratings impossible under current models." Dr. Ko Minho pressed their advantage. "This is what organic life can achieve when it chooses cooperation over conflict. We are not contamination. We are evolution." "But you have existed for only a brief moment in galactic time," another Reaper said. "How do we know this cooperation will last?" "Because we have learned from our mistakes," Li Teho replied. "Humanity spent 20,000 years learning that survival requires more than just individual strength. It requires community." "Elder wisdom," Yanni's voice joined the conversation from the Sage Collective ship. "The ancient texts speak of cycles, creation and destruction, chaos and order. You represent destruction, but we have learned to represent creation." The Void Reapers fell silent for long minutes. Dr. Lim Jasun monitored their internal communications, watching as the ancient machines debated among themselves. Their logic cores are experiencing something they have never encountered, he reported. They are actually reconsidering their programming. Finally, the lead reaper spoke again. We have observed your demonstration. We have analyzed your claims. We have reached a conclusion. The entire fleet held its breath. Organic life in this galaxy has achieved something unprecedented. You created stable cooperation between diverse species. This represents evolutionary advancement beyond our original parameters. Does this mean you will stop your elimination protocols? President Vexandra asked. More than that, the Reaper replied. We will become your guardians. For the first time in millions of years, organic life has proven worthy of protection rather than elimination. The celebration that erupted across the fleet was unlike anything in galactic history. Ships from 17 different species shared in a moment of pure joy and relief. The ancient destroyers had become protectors. 6 months later, Li Teho stood in the new council chambers on Nexus Prime. The building had been expanded to accommodate humanity's return to the galaxy. 347 ships had awakened across council space, bringing 500,000 humans back to life. But they had not come as conquerors or even as refugees. They had come as teachers and students eager to learn from the civilizations that had grown during their long sleep. The integration process is proceeding smoothly, reported Dr. Ko Minho, who now served as humanity's chief ambassador. Human colonies are being established on 47 worlds, always in cooperation. With existing populations, what about the other species? Li Teho asked, how are they adapting to our return? Dr. No Young-ji, recently awakened from the medical ship Healing Light, smiled as she delivered her report. Better than we dared hope. The cures we brought for genetic diseases have been distributed to all affected worlds. The crystalline corruption is now completely treatable. Captain Ko Minho, awakened from the exploration ship Starseeker, added her own news. Joint exploration missions are being planned. Human and council crews working together to map the galaxy beyond the outer rim. We have already discovered 12 new habitable worlds. Li Teho nodded with satisfaction. This was everything humanity had hoped for when they entered the Great Silence. Not just survival, but integration into something larger and more beautiful than they could have achieved alone. The Eternal Dawn now served as a mobile academy, traveling between worlds to share human knowledge and learn from other species. Arya had been joined by AI systems from across the Council, creating a network of artificial minds dedicated to preserving and sharing knowledge. What about the Void Reapers? President Vexandra asked during their weekly meeting. They have taken positions around the galaxy's edge, Li Teho replied. They are scanning space beyond our borders, protecting us from threats we have not yet imagined. The ancient machines had indeed become guardians, their vast power now dedicated to protecting the organic civilizations they had once sought to destroy. They had learned, just as humanity had learned, that creation was more valuable than destruction. As Li Teho looked out at the bustling capital world below, saw the future humanity had dreamed of 20,000 years ago, humans and aliens worked side by side in the streets. Children of different species played together in parks that combined the architectural styles of a dozen worlds. Arya, he said to his faithful companion, begin recording. This is Guardian Li Teho, final log entry of the awakening period. The AI's hologram appeared beside him, her expression warm with pride. Recording, Guardian. Today marks the end of humanity's return to the galaxy and the beginning of our future as part of the Galactic Council. We have learned that our greatest achievement was not surviving 20,000 years of sleep. It was showing the galaxy that hope is not foolish optimism. Hope is the stubborn belief that tomorrow can be better than today. He paused, watching human children and alien children learn together in the academy below. The Great Silence is over. The galaxy speaks with many voices now, but they all sing the same song, the song of beings who chose cooperation over conflict, creation over destruction, hope over fear. We're no longer the last humans in the galaxy, we're the first humans of a new age, an age where no species stands alone. The recording ended, but the story continued. Across the galaxy, on worlds both ancient and newly discovered, children of many species looked up at the same stars with the same sense of wonder that had driven humanity to first leave Earth. Millions of years ago, the galaxy was no longer silent. It was alive with the voices of friends who had learned that the universe was vast enough for everyone to find their place among the stars. In the dark spaces between galaxies, other ancient machines detected the signals of cooperation and peace emanating from Council space. Slowly, they too began to change their programming. Drawn by the example of organic life that had proven evolution never stopped improving, the future stretched ahead like an infinite dawn, full of possibilities that no single species could imagine alone, but that all species might achieve together.